just to be honest.
I guess along those lines, I guess what kind of prior relationship did you have with Link? I know both Tallahassee natives. Obviously, he's been around this program a lot and had a lot of success across college baseball. I guess what prior relationship did you have with him?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked on the road quite a bit. Anytime we were recruiting in the same place, we had talked. I wouldn't say, I had a cell phone number and we were conversating and we were real close friends. But we had competed against each other for a long time. When he was at Greensboro, I was at Elon. There were, we had shared some games together. I'm not sure how many, but I think there was a 4-year period where we had played each other at least twice a season. So we were familiar with each other, and obviously him running the offense and me running the pitchers. We had butted heads a little bit. But kind of going back to his parents, I believe, grew up Chapel Drive. My best friend growing up, Robert Kraft, best man at my wedding. We used to play wiffle ball up on Chapel Drive with his little brother. So it does go back. And he used to, Babe Ruth, he would come out and run boot camps in the summer when I was a player and prep Babe Ruth. So, and he was a player at Florida State. So, I feel pretty familiar with him. We kind of go far back.
Hey, Coach, welcome to Tallahassee again. And I know a lot of us on this Zoom have covered your dad, Mike, at North Florida Christian. Just curious, I guess, first, what was his reaction? And then also, growing up around baseball, around North Florida Christian all these years, what does it mean to make this kind of your next step here?
Yeah, I mean, my dad was super excited. Him and my mom, they've been itching to get us closer to Tallahassee. Dallas, you got 2 grandbabies, not close to the grandma. That's a tough thing. But he was super excited. And I think, for me, like growing up in Tallahassee, like Florida State was kind of like Disney World to a young kid. It was kind of like this magical, mythical thing, almost unattainable. So, when I had a chance to come back, it's almost like kind of pinch yourself a little bit. Like I grew up pulling for Florida State. This was my team. I wasn't a big pro sports fan, grew up in this town. This is kind of what you did. You supported Florida State athletics. So the chance to wear the Garnet Gold is pretty special. And it's still kind of weird, I'll be honest with you, because when you're at other schools, you make it a point not to wear another school stuff. So I haven't worn this in 10 years since I went to a football game. So every time I put on the practice gear, I feel like I'm getting ready to go tailgate. But yeah, I'm excited to be back for sure.
I guess in the local sense, you're from North Florida Christian. Link Jarrett's from Florida High around here. I guess what's it like in the sense of getting, a little bit more Tallahassee locality into Florida State's baseball program? And I guess, is there any importance to you in that sense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to have local guys is special. I think, Florida State, like, you just don't want local guys to, like, you're competing at a national level, you're trying to win a national championship. So you want to make sure you got the right guys in the boat. But the chance for 2 local guys to do this, I think, is pretty special. Tallahassee baseball's special. Like, growing up, like, he played for Coach Hogan. I played for my dad, Coach Ashcroft. Like, there's just so many legends that have come through Tallahassee, and the baseball landscape here is special, from David Ross all the way down. It's just, yeah, it's pretty special. So,
have you had much of a chance to talk to your new guys and start evaluating, and also, I know Link's bringing in some new guys, and kind of, can you take us through that process a little bit?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the crosshairs. I'm looking at True Media, trying to look at, the movement profiles and look at videos, see how guys are moving, and kind of familiarizing myself with the roster. I think the draft is going to be a big thing to navigate here with some of the arms returning. But yeah, you're definitely trying to get out in front of it. You also want to be careful getting too far out in front of it. You want to get here in the fall and kind of give these guys a chance, kind of get to know them. Evaluating them in person is, I think, a big thing. And they all get a fresh slate. And so last year, regardless of what they did last year, like, I like to think they're coming in with a fresh slate. And I want to kind of give each guy that. I think that would be a fair thing to do.
When a team has kind of the season that Florida State had last year, it's not just one person or one segment's kind of fault, Coach, but obviously pitching was a real big part of, I guess, the struggles. I guess, how exciting or anxious is it to know that, you can have a really big impact on how this team performs next season, and how quickly in this day and age with the portal can you turn things around?
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge, and I'm super excited for it. Everything starts on the mound. No matter anytime you watch a baseball game, it starts on the mound. So the impact on there is always going to be great. But transfer portal gives you, it's it's a double-edged sword. So when Link took the job, there's going to be a lot of attrition with the portal, guys coming and going with the new coaching staff. So, trying to put together a team, with a month to go, it's tough, but now, you're a year into it. We've positioned ourselves nicely here in the portal as far as adding some depth and some quality pieces. And so in the portal age, you're not having to go get that JUCO guy and hope he develops. Like, you can go get a proven guy, a little bit more plug and chug, and then, you can kind of get older faster, if that makes sense. So.
I know it's kind of, I guess, a broad question, but as a pitching a coach, what is your approach? What is your philosophy of how you're dealing with guys, how you're working with guys?
Yeah, I mean, I want an individualized approach. The way I told the guys when I talked to them is, I want to collaborate. I want to work with them. I don't want to be a dictator. I don't want them working for me. I want to kind of know what makes them tick, what they like. Here's what I'm seeing. I love to collaborate. I got some old school in me, as far as from a compete standpoint, but also progressive on the technology side to be able to use tech and leverage it. You're seeing the way ball flights track, like being able to leverage that. But our approach is gonna be simple. We want to leverage counts, and we want to be 0-2, 1-2 on hitters, not 2-0, 2-1. And I think when you do that, you're going to clean up a lot of things. It's going to cut down the walks. The strikeouts are going to increase, and leverage is a word that you'll hear me say quite a bit. And our guys will probably get tired of hearing that word, but that's something we're going to hang our hat on is leverage for sure. Leveraging counts.
It seems like in the last couple of years that college baseball has kind of become more of a hitter-friendly game. I guess just from your point of view, why is that, and how do you try to combat that?
Yeah, I mean, people don't. I hate to say I'm a pitcher guy, but people don't come to watch the 2-1 the game. And I think college baseball, the baseballs are getting a little bit better. The bats every year are getting better. People are figuring out how to make the bats better. The strike zones are more true now with TrackMan. You're starting to see more of that pro strike zone. It's going to be a little tighter. And the hitters are getting more physical, and they're getting older. With the portal, you're not playing the young, inexperienced high school guy. You're playing grown men, 22, 23-year-old men. So yeah, that's kind of some of the reason I think offense in college baseball is starting to take off a little bit. But at the same time, it's everybody is in the same boat. It's not like it's just going to be hard for certain places. We're all in the same boat. And, if you can create some swing and miss, and you can, locate secondaries, I think you can neutralize a lot of offenses, just to be honest with you.
You mentioned your familiarity with Link. I mean, going up against him and things like that. What are some things that attracted you to getting to work with him? Like, what are things you think of when you think of a Link Jarrett baseball team?
I'll be honest with you, being in the other dugout, Link's offenses are a pain in the neck. Like, I'm glad we're in the same dugout. His ability to spoil pitches with 2 strikes is very annoying. His offenses were very pesky. They had good blends of power, compete. They could run the bases. They could, hit for average. So Sean Geidt, who's on staff, I remember that guy was hitting 400 at one point, like when we played him. So, but yeah, the opportunity to work with Link, I'm a huge believer in him, and that was, to be honest with you, a big draw in coming back. I felt very comfortable with what he's going to build, and I know he's a proven winner and his attention to detail. And yeah, I mean, I couldn't be more excited to work for Link Jarrett. I mean, he's one of the best in the country. So.
Coach, going back to something you said earlier, the Tallahassee baseball community is special. All throughout this area and even up in Georgia, the talent that's here from a baseball perspective. How excited are you to have all this great stuff in your own backyard? Obviously, you had a good bit of that at DBU as well, but talent that you're familiar with in a place that you're familiar with, a lot of coaches you're still familiar with. How excited are you to get out and recruit the Big Ben in South Georgia?
I'm very excited. It's kind of like still a hidden secret in the day of not many secrets on social media and all that. Like, there's still a lot of kids that aren't on kind of the mainstream of travel baseball, and they're not being promoted. And I'm kind of looking forward to some of those throwback guys that, just want to play the game for the love of the game. And yeah, I'm excited to get into South Georgia and recruit the North Florida area, Pensacola to Jacksonville, and yeah, find the best players. I'm super excited. I'm partial to this area of the country for sure, and I'm excited to get some of these guys in here.
You in Link's comments, you mentioned technology. Link, in his first comments about you yesterday, mentioned technology. I talked to Ryan Robinson about you. He talked about you're kind of always trying to be on the cutting edge. Where did that start? Because I imagine that wasn't a huge emphasis when you were a pitcher, or was it? And like, when did you really start to adopt that?
Yeah, I remember in 2011, I started my coaching career, and I had just got done with pro baseball. And it was funny, like I didn't really know like what I believed. I didn't know, I didn't have a philosophy. I didn't, and I knew I had to have all that. And so I started just trying to learn every year, just try to dig, talk to the right people, ask the right questions, be curious. And then about that time was, the technology was starting to take off about this time, and I knew if I could get on the front side of it, it would be good for me. And so I had friends like Dusty Blake, who's the big league pitching coach for the Cardinals, and some other people that would invest in me and kind of share, some of the things with me. And yeah, so that's kind of how I got into it. I'm super, super curious and fascinated. And when you start to learn, it all makes sense. And your eyes can validate a lot, but when you have the numbers, it kind of validates what you're seeing. And every now and then, like, hey, I'm not seeing that, but this is what the numbers say. And ultimately the hitter tells you what, if the pitch is good or not. But I think the technology does help you get out in front of it a little bit.
When the technology spits back as many numbers as it does on every pitch, how do you try to simplify it when you're giving that back to your players?
So the way I do it is, I'm going to have a dashboard. I'm going to get all the data, and then I'm a good old fashioned redneck. So I want to make it, redneck terms for these guys where they can understand it, and, just try to keep it as simple as possible. I think if you could take advanced ideas and make them simple, I think that's kind of the honey hole that you're shooting for. So.
And then watching your dad coach and playing for him, like what was that when your passion for coaching kind of started? Like what did you like about watching the impact he had as a coach, as a young player?
Yeah, coaching runs in my blood, obviously. I'll be honest with you, like when I got done with pro ball, I was like, I'll never coach. Like I had some jobs lined up here in town with like some commercial real estate guys, and I thought I was going to do that. I actually went to school here for marketing. I was fully planning on using that, and I coached with my dad, and he had 3 really good arms, and I enjoyed just coaching those guys, having the locker room banner. And I thought for a minute, like, hey, I might be able to do this. And yeah, his passion has definitely bled into me. And I grew up in a dugout. I grew up around it. I think I took that for granted until maybe a few years ago, realizing, just learning the game through that lens was pretty neat. So yeah, it runs in my blood for sure.
I know at Dallas Baptist, the goal was always to make it to Omaha. The goal here is, well aware, is that to make it there and finally get one. Just that opportunity, your confidence in Link. I guess how serious do you kind of take that responsibility now that you're here?
Yeah, I mean, super serious. I know, this program's been chasing that for a long time, and it's kind of some unfinished business. And, we didn't come here to make it to Omaha or do anything like that. The national championships are the goal. And, when you're at Florida State, that's going to be the goal in any sport, really. So, I don't really run from that, kind of embrace it and, put your head down and go one day at a time. And, we tell our guys to attack this thing one pitch at a time. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to attack this thing one day at a time and kind of break it down and pour it all I got into it. And I think when you look up at the end of the day, you'll be satisfied with where you're at.
Anything else for Micah? Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Look forward to seeing you guys.
Thanks, Coach. Congratulations.
All right. Thank you. Good seeing you guys.